Okay, and we are now live on YouTube.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the November 5th Planning Board General Business Meeting at 5 o'clock. I will say, first of all, that anyone who's watching online and looking to stay on for the public hearing scheduled for 6 o'clock, that hearing has been postponed. It will be postponed to, was it December
3rd.
December 3rd. We don't know the time yet, probably 6 or 6:30 p.m. on December 3rd. So that will not occur at 6 o'clock. So we will proceed right through the conclusion of the general business meeting. First item on tonight's agenda is to approve the draft minutes from the October 8th planning board meeting. I know Cindy has gotten comments from members. Anybody have any other comments? All right.
I actually had a quick question. Under the 116 West Broadway, it was owner, like the fourth bullet down, said owner of property behind shed. Can you tell me what we meant by that?
I don't know exactly what, anybody know what that means?
What, under what application?
This is the 116 West Broadway.
The Water Authority building?
Oh, I think that's the Beach Street. Is that
I don't see that.
fourth bullet?
Owner of property behind the shed. I mean, we need to clarify that.
Yeah. I don't mean to put everyone on the spot. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
they were looking to see who the owner is. That was what, yeah, I didn't word it properly, but
But what-
I have in my
shed?
notes that they were questioning who owns that property.
Okay.
So would you,
maybe-
how would you like to, you want me to just reword it myself and send it out?
Okay, where's the shed though? Anybody know what that refers
There's a
to?
shed, I think, shown on the site plan, Lisa, right?
It's not ringing a bell, but
I mean, there's a little existing that's shed there now. You know, like a lean,
oh, it could be that.
Whose property, I'm looking back at my notes from that night. It says the planning board's questioning whose property is behind the shed.
was it with regard to where the ferry docks now? Can't imagine.
I don't know.
I can't remember what I had for
I-
breakfast. This is impossible.
I think we can, maybe staff can find out.
Can we
Oh.
go back to October 8th? Do we have a recorded meeting?
I don't think so. I think we just have notes.
Okay. That's how my notes read. Who,
Okay.
planning board would like to know whose property is behind the shed.
Just a reminder that legally minutes only really need to record whatever motions and votes were taken. If the planning board feels it is important to have this clarified in the minutes, then we can certainly wait on approving the minutes. But if it's something that's more anecdotal, then perhaps it just gets eliminated from the minutes at this time and then you move forward. I leave it up to the planning board, of course. And if you'd like to wait on the approval and we can go back and look at the maps and try to figure out exactly what the intent of that sentence was, we're happy to do that.
Rather than holding up approval, how about approval as per clarification of that comment?
That's fine.
That's probably better. We don't hold up. Then the minutes maybe can get posted in the next few days instead of waiting maybe a bit longer. So
Yeah, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No,
That's
Right.
good, yes, yeah.
I was having a moment.
that's fine. So can I get a motion to approve the minutes pending addition of clarification to that one comment about the shed by staff?
Also motion.
Okay, and second?
I'll second. Oh,
Okay, who wants?
Barbara
I can
and
mute
Barbara
myself.
goes-
I second.
Tie goes to Barbara. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, those minutes are approved. The next minutes are the October 27th minutes. Gil, if you want to kind of, I have to recuse from that one since I was not part of that, the hearing for that application. So
Right.
if you want to take over for that, Gil.
Okay. Does anybody have any comments on those meeting minutes? Okay. Then can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved. Back to you, almighty one.
Well, that seemed to go a lot quicker than when I handled the minutes. So. We'll give it back to you a little bit later. Next item on the agenda is discuss the scheduling of a December 3rd planning board meeting, which we've already talked about. So that'll be done. Staff will be sending out a notice regarding the time of that meeting, which is a public hearing for the 216B Main Street, the former Say Cheese property, for a conditional use permit. Okay, I guess next item, hi Rebecca. Next item is the trustee report. So if you would give us your update for this month.
Good, thank you. It's great to see everybody. I don't have a lot to update. As some of you might have seen, we voted to go ahead forward with approving the Parkland fee and requiring a Parkland fee for the Station Street project. And that should allow for the project to move forward. So it was a unanimous vote for moving forward on that fee. And that's really the biggest thing I have to report. If anyone has any questions, please do ask at this time. Still getting used to figuring out what information to bring to, but.
I had a quick question, Rebecca. Did the applicant for the Station Street property, I think Conifer, did they say that they were thinking about trying to do it on their own as well, or did they just agree to the Parkland fee?
We are expecting to have a further conversation moving forward, where we are expecting to be approached by Conifer and have them asking for alternatives. But the way that it was put to the Board of Trustees was that it was necessary to come to a clear decision in order to have the project continue moving forward in this budget year. And so we believe that, in the interest of the project in general, just saying yes to this amount, which was the full amount of, no reduction of the Parkland fee, just coming to consensus on that. And then moving forward, if the Board of Trustees can be approached, as far as I've been told, with alternatives. And I will not speak for the Board of Trustees as to how all of the trustees feel about that, but we will handle that moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thanks. Before we get into the 1615 Main Street project, I just want to refer to the Planning Federation, New York Planning Federation treatment email that Cindy sent today that gives you an opportunity for planning training. We need, I believe it's 4 hours of training every year. So the year is coming to an end. I did want to say too that the Suffolk County Planning Federation, which always has been up until the COVID outbreak, has been running training sessions at various places. I think at Brookhaven Lab, also at Stony Brook University. There is nothing, I've reached out to them. I have gotten no response, and there is nothing on their website about any training this year. So I assume they're not having it. We're getting to the end of the year, and you'd need a little notice to sign up and actually have the session. So looks like the Planning Federation is the best online source of planning training for members.
And if I could just pop in on that for one quick
Sure.
second, Ray, the Planning Federation is doing 2 live webinars a month right now. The Village of Port Jefferson is a member of the Planning Federation, so all the members of our zoning boards, planning boards, boards of trustees, staff have free access to these webinars. They've also started building a library of classes that you can take on demand. But if you have any trouble signing in, just call their office. It's right on their main website, New York Planning Federation. I think it's nypf.org. And they can give you access to whatever you need to get your training done. But they have been doing 2 live webinars. I think we're doing it on the GoToMeetings platform, but there should be. And if you're not getting the if you're not getting the emails yourself, because not every individual board member may be getting the emails. If you go to give them a call and give them your email address, you will get as a member those emails and updates.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Okay, moving on. The next item is 1615 Main Street. It's the final approval action on that project. So since I'm recused, I'll turn that over to Gil. I'll go off camera and I will be available myself. You can call me back for the 116 West Broadway, which follows.
So, Jen, you want to give us a little background on this?
Sure. So since our last planning board meeting, in the September 17th conditional final approval, the planning board had 4 conditions that had to be met prior to the chair and the secretary's signature. And I believe all 4 of them have now been satisfied. I sent out an email. I'm happy to go over it quickly right now. We did get a performance bond for the site improvements in the amount that you most recently approved. It was an amended amount on October, when was our last meeting? The 27th, I think, right?
Yes.
Lost that one with the shed. Sorry.
So that satisfied the first of the 4 conditions. The second one was the pileup fee for 11 of the retail parking spaces that are not provided, and the 1 residential spot that was not provided. That check was received on the 27th, the full amount, $48,000. The third was, as Rebecca just mentioned, was the parkland fee, which was paid in full, $67,500. And that was set by the Board of Trustees on November 2nd, so this past Monday's meeting, and a check provided. I went through the site plan documents from both BHC and from R&W engineers, and in my review, I feel like they now reflect what the planning board, the revisions that the planning board had asked for. And then there were just basic bookkeeping revisions as well, and I think that they've done that. R&W submitted final plans today or yesterday. And so Gil, get your hand ready for lots of signing. We've got documents from BHC and from R&W for you to sign. Perhaps we can drop them off for you to sign at some point in the near future.
Sure.
So this afternoon, I put together, just amended the resolution from September 17th to include, the fact that these 4 conditions of the boards were satisfied, and listed the documents that will now be part of the final approval. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. If not, we can call it up, and our trustee, Lisa Rickmers,
Would you like me to?
our webinar wizard, can bring them up.
All right. Let's see.
I think that was document 1.
You want me to pull up document 1? Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just grab that quickly.
Okay. So if we go to page 8. Thank you. So, oh, yeah, we just passed the list of drawings, but yeah.
Do you
okay.
want to go back or?
No, that's okay, I think, but this is the amendment that just basically summarizes what I just said. Just noting that the conditions were satisfied. The drawings are now ready for the chair and the secretary's signature. There are there are still a number of conditions that will be satisfied, will need to be satisfied during the course of the project, but those are mostly prior to building permit and CO at this point.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or comments? Give me the high side when you're ready. Everybody good? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve then?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. We did it.
Yes.
Yay.
So Gil, it will, at some
I'm around,
point, we'll just,
I'm around tomorrow. If you want, I can swing up or,
okay, or
wanna-
I'm happy to drop them.
yeah,
drop
whatever
them
works.
off. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Now we have to get Fearless Leader back.
Is Joe here? Did I see him? Castellano?
Somebody trying to chat.
No.
Oh, the conifer, Kathleen Deegan Dixon said, thank you, board members and staff. That was nice.
Oh, it was nice. Yeah.
Yes. Such a great company to work with. They've been amazing.
They've
It's
been very,
been-
responsive and yeah.
I was trying to think of all the incarnations that used to be in where the bar is. And I could go back to the Pelican Club in the 50s, but my favorite was Horse Feathers. And he had a t-shirt that said, once you leave Horse Feathers, the rest of Port Jefferson is downhill from here. I thought that was
Funny.
great.
Great. That's great.
Love it. You could just roll down the hill.
Yeah.
Just roll down the hill.
Literally.
Maybe if there's a wet space, isn't there a wet space in the first floor? They could recreate horse feathers and
Yeah, there you
modern
go.
version of the t-shirt there. You got
Yeah.
something going. I won't steal the idea from you. If I do, you could have like 49%.
Oh, thanks.
So Barbara, what's your earliest memory of what was there?
The Pelican Club
That was the
And,
earliest?
was my earliest, and my dad bought what used to be our building when I was 5 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he was in partnership with my uncle. They were both pharmacists. And my uncle and my aunt used to go across the street to the Pelican Club for dinner. And it was very respectable at the time. So
Wow.
it was really a restaurant with a bar.
Huh.
And it was called the Pelican Club because the Pelcanos owned it. No relation to Susan, because I already asked her. But yeah, so it was, and that was the Pelican Club for quite some time. And then there was a whole bunch of rapid successions, and everybody remembers Bada Bing. And it was Bada Bing right after Horse Feathers.
So was it that physical building?
Yes,
always
yes,
been
it
there.
was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Mr. Brady, the village historian, once gave me his book that had different pictures, and you could see that there was a Texaco gas pump in front of it, and that's because everybody was saying about the gas tanks.
Mhm.
But
Good to
there has
know.
been so much work on that street. I remember when it was a cement road with tracks in it because he would bring things back and forth from the train station down to the ferry dock or the harbor on these tracks.
Like a trolley? Wow.
Yeah, some kind of a heavy duty trolley. And, I'm thinking the amount of times that they dug up that road, I seriously doubt if there are tanks still there.
They're under the sidewalk though, not in the street, I think.
Not in the street, well, but then
The maps showed them underneath the sidewalk.
I heard that they're full of gold.
Filled with gold?
Leprechaun
Oh, I
gold.
thought you said coal.
I'm just
But
making things. We're just
Yeah, well, the gas pump, the Texaco gas pump was basically on the sidewalk, and you drove up and got your gas. and left.
Yeah, so that's interesting that you remember it. So what year would that have been?
I don't remember the gas pump. I saw a picture of the gas pump,
Uh-huh.
but I remember the Pelican Club from 1958 on.
Okay.
Wow.
And I think it was in the 60s it became All Aboard and Bada Bing and Horse Feathers. And there was another one in there somewhere that, I have to think about.
Wasn't it the Caboose at one time or something like that?
It could have been. I remember the All Aboard, and I remember
That's
for a
right.
very short period of time somebody had named it that, but I really, that one eludes me. I'll ask my brother.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Okay, why don't we move on to 116 West Broadway? This is just a staff update. This is the vacant Water Authority building.
Yeah, the ferry offices.
Mhm.
And Eric Bjornaby is in the waiting room. I think that
Okay.
I'll bring him in because I think he wanted to be able to talk through a few of the items that the board had requested last time. Let me just move and promote Eric to panelist. Okay, so I've promoted Eric to panelist and he should be joining shortly. Okay.
Hello,
Hi, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
how are you?
So there was, I have some new renderings, which have been now referred to the ARC, though I didn't have materials to give to the ARC yet. I did circulate those renderings to the board. So I can bring those up and we can look at those. But on top of that, some of the other items that were requested last time related to the ferry's timeline for its multiple phases of projects. And perhaps it would be best to start with speaking to that. Eric, if you want me to, you sent me the Port Jeff waterfront improvement plan. I don't know if that would be helpful to pull up now.
I think we should maybe just get into it a little bit, and then that might help you help.
It might help later. So I think Eric was struggling a little bit with figuring out exactly what information the board required. So I spoke to him today and about the ferry's plans and tried to hammer out the timeline that you were looking for. So just to summarize quickly, the ferry's existing building has offices on the second floor. On the first floor, there is a waiting room for customers. There's the ticketing booth, and there are lockers for the dock staff. The new building that's being proposed and will be put in will be for the offices that are now currently on the second floor of the existing building, and that space will no longer be used as soon as this building is complete. Once that phase is complete, then the next phase of the project is to remove the existing building and replace it with a new structure. The details of that plan have not been ironed out yet. And from my discussions today, it appears to be a 5-year timeline for that now with the current financing considerations. So the exact specifications of how much space and how many offices is something that Eric doesn't have an answer for at the moment because they have not done those designs yet. But the intent is for that structure to serve what the first floor of the current building serves at the moment. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Eric, to describe what the phasing and the timeline is for the ferry?
Right, so just, I think there was some confusion about just the way that the whole ferry was approaching this building. About 2 years ago, they approached me to design a renovation to their existing building where they currently are. We submitted permits, applications and paperwork for permits for that. While we were going through that process, the property that we're talking about now became available for purchase. They've been trying to acquire that for some time, and then it finally came where they were able to acquire it at a price that they agreed. So we abandoned that first renovation project, so nothing was modified at the existing building recently on the interior to upgrade for what they're currently using it for. There's been other improvements. They did a dock repair and renovation approximately 2 years ago, and now they acquired this property. So the intent is to relocate the entire second floor from the building that they're currently in into this new building. So all of their administrative offices is going to be here. Pretty much everything except for, as Lisa said, for the waiting room, the ticketing, and the lockers for the dock workers. So the entire administrative office is going to be moved here. Once this is our phase one. Once this building is completed, then they're going to move on eventually to phase two. We're going to start the design phase of that project sometime next year, but depending on what the budget is, because they're still kind of recovering from everything that's happened, so they're not exactly sure on that timeline. Their best guess at this point is that they would like to have that project completed in approximately 5 years. But they want to have, they're going to start designing that next year. But their number one priority, which they have the financing in place and they're all set up to go with this building. As soon as we can acquire permits, they're ready to go. So this building could be, hopefully being built early next year and completed sometime by the summer. Well, hopefully. So that's the what's going on with the project. Last year, I believe it was last year, early this year, we had Fred Hall from the ferry company was with us at the meeting, and he kind of went through what some of that planning was. I kind of heard of it, but I wasn't totally involved with it at that point. When they did the whole zoning of that area, there were talks of it, and then there was renderings provided in the paperwork for what that was going to be, and they talked about I'm calling it phase two. The phase two was for a congestion relief of the traffic, to get something lifted up into the air, have the drivers would be able to come in, drive up and around like almost like at an airport, drive off the walk-on passengers. They would be able to safely walk above the traffic and enter onto the ferry at a higher point. The car traffic would remain down below, circle around and enter onto the ferry. So they're trying to separate the pedestrian and vehicular traffic. That's the intent. There was a rendering that was submitted when they rezoned that, kind of a blocky 3D, rendering of it. If Lisa wants to show that now, just so they can see that.
So Eric, while Lisa's doing that, the waiting room ticketing and lockers will stay in the existing building. But I guess when that building is removed, they will go somewhere, or that will be part of the new design for the second phase. Is that correct?
Correct. So in this rendering, you can see there's a little structure that's up on stilts, and it's just elevated up. In this little rendering, the idea was for pedestrians to be entered. You could see the grouping of 4 trees there. There's a little hallway or passageway that goes over and then goes up vertical and then comes back across. I don't know, do I have, can you see my mouse?
No. Can you?
Okay.
Can you see
So,
this one?
yeah, right there.
We can
So
do that.
basically right there, It goes across and then up into that little bridge area that would bring them across to then enter the ferry somehow from that location. So the concept is pretty much the same. We haven't designed it, but conceptually, that's it. We talked a little bit more in depth about trying to get something a roundabout that they could drive up and around to get there, but that's so early in the planning phase that we don't know. So back to what we're discussing here. Phase one is to relocate the second floor of the existing building here, keep the first floor operation there temporarily until we can begin the construction on the new phase two. And at that point, they'll knock down the main building and provide some sort of temporary ticketing and waiting area while that structure gets built. And then they'll move those services will move into this phase two building. So essentially, we're not really increasing the existing administrative offices space. It's going to stay the same. We're just separating the services at this point. So, so now that that's been clear, we've gone through the amount of people that are going to be here, the number of desks and things that are going to be occupied in the space. So basically, we have a breakdown where we're dealing with a business that's open 7 days a week, long hours from 5 something in the morning till late into the evening, 8, 10 o'clock, different hours, different days of the week. So they're open quite a bit outside of normal business hours. So there's people that have schedules that are there earlier in the morning, people that are there in the afternoons, people that are there a few days a week, people that are there middle of the week to the weekend. And so there's staggered hours in this building that we're talking about now. So currently, I believe we have 29 desks shown on this building. So there's 18 desks on the first floor and 11 desks on the second floor. So those are not all used at the same time because there's nobody that's going to be there 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. So looking through the stricter of the busier times, which has the big impacts, is the call center. So the call center has 10 desks in the plans, and it's all depending on what the Cisco Unified Intelligence Center is telling them that they have to have there. Usually, right now they have only 8 desks. They added an extra 2 stations because they figured that they might need that in the future. So we're putting more than we needed to have there that they currently have now, just in case. But they generally have between 5 and 8 people in that room. Obviously, that's one of the larger occupancies in the building. So going through the busiest times is usually Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. That's their busiest administrative offices that most people have normal business hours. And at that time, my calculation is coming up with 20 people. So the parking requirement for this building is broken down by maritime offices, which is calculated at 300, 1 parking space per 300 gross floor area for maritime parking. And the building is a little bit under 4,600, which would require 15 spaces. So the 15 spaces that are required, we're providing 17 spaces. So we provide more than the size of the building requires. So now the second thing is occupancy. What's the actual occupancy? So the average occupancy is going to be less than the 20. That's going to be at the worst case situation on the peak time that they typically experience now. So that's what is going on. So we're a little bit over. We don't have quite 1 space for each person, but we're pretty close to what's there. Another thing to notice is that these people are going to be the same people that have already been working here, doing business here, and parking on the other site. So this is an additional lot, additional parking that's going to be for the people. Basically, the second story of that building is going to be abandoned. The entire facility is going to move here. So in reality, we're adding 17 parking spaces that they didn't have. We're, again, not increasing the number of occupants, but we did add an extra 2 seats to the call center, and that's the only modification that we've made on the occupant load.
Eric, just a quick question. Now, the plan is for the desks not to be shared. They're assigned to a staff person. Is that correct?
Correct. These are all, they have 29 employees that generally occupy that space. So that's their number. So each person has their own desk.
Okay.
And they don't share them. That's how they do it now. And that's their preferred here. So, you know, it's just, we have enough room here to give them each their space. I mean, they're not especially large offices. They're good size, but they're not oversized. And each person has a desk.
Okay. I just want to interrupt for a second. Tom Vulpes has joined us. I gave Tom my link. So Tom is not another version of me, even though his name appears as mine. And now he just disappeared and is back. So Tom, I don't know if you know your name is not on your screen.
Here, I'll rename him.
Yeah. Can you say that again? I didn't know if we could hear you.
He's muted, I think.
He's muted.
I said I'm Ray tonight.
Yeah, apparently there's 2 of us. But
I fixed it.
I think we all know who's who.
Yep.
Okay. All right, Eric, I'm sorry if you want to continue about, I think, are you actually going down the list of items from the October 8th meeting? It seems like you are.
So again, it wasn't totally clear what was needed to be addressed. So we kind of going back and forth and just,
okay.
I was trying to answer what those issues were. So I believe that I've pretty much explained it. And, you know, unfortunately, this project, a lot of this information was gone over last year or early this year. And we were then delayed by the variance with the building department. And we presented that in February, and then they held the decision over till March. And then the world exploded, and we're here now. So some of these items were already previously addressed, explained, and we're just explaining them again, and just making sure that we're having an understanding that we're knocking down that building. Just again reiterating what's going on. So the phase 1 is to build this building. We don't know. We haven't designed. I can't give you the parking requirement of phase 2 because it's not designed yet. So right. It's comes down to floor area and occupancies and things like that. So we had discussed whether or not we were going to need a parking variance now, or if we were going to hold that over until phase 2 proceeds, to really have an understanding of the entire site of what goes on with that. But we're open to whatever you're comfortable with. And so again, we comply with the floor area for the parking of the building. The occupancy we have is at the peak a little bit above that. So we're a little bit deficient potentially in 1 space per each employee. And so.
Where, if I understood correctly, your max occupancy would be 20 and you have 17 spaces. So it's 3, like hypothetically, there could be 3 people looking for spots. Would they be able to park on one of your other properties, or are they going to be looking in town?
So they would be most likely parking where they're already parking now, because they're already there. So again, we're pretty much, we're gaining 17 parking spaces to the situation. So now that we can park at this lot and it's the same people coming to the same within a few hundred feet of the building that they're going to now. So we're making the parking situation better, but we're not fully complying with the code if we're being completely honest about what our max peak is. So if that requires one space for each person, then worst case scenario, where 3 spaces deficient.
Okay, and I think that's why we were asking about phase 2, was because it sounds like you're going to keep parking over there, but you know, without anything in front of us, we don't know what the parking situation will be in the future over at your main site now.
Right, and I know it was a really long time ago. We had discussed potentially holding this over until phase 2 to make a determination on both sites as a whole. And if we needed to purchase any spaces for the parking relaxation, we could do that at that point once we knew the entire parking situation. But again, we're increasing the parking for this occupancy by the 17 that we're putting on here, and the parking situation is going to get better, not worse. The situation that's going to go on over there when we redesign it, we're going to increase and have more parking over there and go from there. But whatever we're deficient, we can either pay what we have to now and, you know, be over parked there, or whatever, however you feel that this is appropriate for this situation. So,
Well, in addition to always being concerned with future development on a site and the parking requirements, we also have an obligation under the State Environmental Quality Review Act to look at all phases of a project, even future ones, to try to, you know, determine what the cumulative impact is. Now, we've got a situation where you're not under design with the next phase till next year. So I think we have to consider all of that. I don't know, Allison, if you want to weigh in on that in terms of multiple phases and avoiding segregation of.
I don't think you're in a segmentation situation here. We are talking about a separate site. It is a separate tax lot. It is separated by other properties in between. Yes, it should be considered as part of a whole, but that portion of the consideration can happen when you're considering phase 2. So, I mean, segmentation doesn't avoiding segmentation doesn't mean that an applicant has to rush ahead through planning that they're not ready to be planning. You can decide on what is in front of you today. When you get to phase 2, it would likely be prudent to then consider what was previously approved in your environmental considerations for phase 2 to avoid any segmentation issues. But it would be unreasonable for seeker law to expect all applicants to have come up with every feasible alternative down the road when we know the world is a changing place, and we've certainly learned that this year. Right. So I don't think you'll have a segmentation issue if you're moving forward from this point forward, as long as you take a moment when you get to phase 2 to take a look back and see where you came in. If there was anything that could be compounded with these 2 projects working in an intermingling manner. So I think you're in good shape right now.
Okay. All right, any other board members have questions before we go on? I think we have a few other minor things to talk about. Okay, there was a comment or a discussion we had about a Brookhaven easement. I forget exactly what that was.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you're still talking about this with the Brookhaven easement?
So, yeah, the 116 West Broadway parcel, yes.
Okay. So between where you enter at the guardhouse, correct?
Let me see if I can pull up the plans if it shows it on there. Let me just take a quick look.
You talking about the curb cut?
Yeah, we'll see in a minute.
So let me just, this had come up a while ago and I don't think we ever clarified what happened. What was the, share the screen. So this area here, it's not marked on this, but on the the plot on one of the plot plans. Oh yeah, it says here parking easement.
Ah,
So we were looking for clarification because actually, if you have an easement for parking at that in that lot, that might also affect your parking requirements. But we weren't sure if there was documentation on the easement or if you had details on that.
They did not send me anything about that. I can look into that. I'm not 100% sure what that is.
Okay.
I mean, that makes sense because it faces that way and it has that, but I have not seen anything from the attorney. I'll request that if I can get something for the easement. I thought we were talking about the entrance. We talked about potentially having the entrance from
This way, yes.
the east side of this property, basically coming in right before the guard booth, but I'm being told that approaching Brookhaven on that was not going well. So we're probably going to have to keep the main entrance on West Broadway.
okay.
Just to let you know that the parking easement, at least I recall on the western side, that was the parking for when that building was occupied by Suffolk County Water Authority. So if you had business there, that's where you parked. So maybe that's what all that parking easement is referring to.
I understand what you're saying. I don't recall this being asked, so I'll look into this.
I believe that was back in February. Maybe that was asked.
Okay, yeah, I forget things too, so I don't have notes on that. So I can definitely
Eric,
look
if
into
they
that.
did a
but-
title search in purchasing the property, it's likely that that may have come up. But only if it was filed against the property as your clients purchased as well. But I would say that certainly, rather than trying to get the answer out of the town of Brookhaven in their records, a title search might be a more efficient means for getting that information.
Right, I'll talk to the title company and the attorney from the purchase and see if there was an easement attached to it. Obviously, I see it here on the survey, and I just wasn't sure what that was, and I didn't want to take it off of the survey that I had, so we just left it there. And but I haven't seen anything written when they sent me all their purchase documents, or they claim to have sent me all their purchase documents. So, but I haven't seen it, so I can look into that.
Yeah, so it might have been it might not have been filed on the property they purchased. The easement might have been filed on the Brookhaven town lot. So that it is possible that a duplicative document wasn't filed with your client's property. So if there's nothing in their file, a title search on the adjacent property might bring that to light.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I think we had a few other comments that were related to architectural, which are probably addressed by the renderings, which we will refer to the ARC.
Right.
Those were referring to half circles above the windows. I think maybe that may be evident from the renderings. The Juliet balcony, talked about the color renderings. We don't have sample materials. I don't think we're at that stage yet, but we will be. So thanks for posting the renderings, which just came, I believe, today. Is that right, Lisa?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay.
I don't see the half circles anymore.
Not on the not on the renderings.
We
Right.
had to reduce,
Although-
they're there. So we had to reduce the height of the building, so it's not going to be as prominent as I wanted it to be, but unfortunately, this is what was granted. This was the minimum that I was able to get it down to have the elevator be able to work inside of the building. So this is what we were allowed to work with. So it takes a little bit off the height of it, so that's pretty much where we lost it. We still need to keep the floor raised up because of the FEMA regulations, And we have 9-foot floor to ceiling to accommodate for mechanical. So that's pretty much what, what we were stuck with here. So we had made some modifications from the last rendering. We had put the balcony off the conference room on the east side of the building that you're seeing there on the right side. And then on the southern side facing Main Street, we put the Juliet balcony in the middle piece that we had popped out to try and give it a little bit of character there.
Mhm.
There's a few other renderings.
Yeah.
Eric, are you showing solar panels on the roof?
Yes, there's going to be solar panels on the building.
Great.
So
Mhm.
you have a different side of the
And-
building.
This is southwest side? And no, that's not right. That's the back. It's the north.
North elevation.
Northwest.
That's facing the water looking from the
Oh,
water.
it's facing the water.
Yeah, this balcony looks out at the water.
Right. Okay.
Let me,
So the water's behind us. Oop.
yeah, let me
Yes.
pull up another one. Let's see. So many things. Let's see which one. I'm trying to find one we haven't seen yet. Let me.
So while she's getting that, we're trying to make the building as energy efficient and eco-friendly as possible. I don't think we're going to be going for a LEED certification just for the timing of the project. We want to try and get it up as quickly as possible, but that's all those things are being considered as we design it, including solar.
Great.
Eric, if I could, while we're waiting, there's like half moon on the roofs themselves. There's these like half moon or eyes. What are those? Just for decorative purposes, or
They're vents. They're going to help the vent the attic space,
Okay.
and they're also just for aesthetics as well.
Okay, thank you.
Let me see if. So this is now the view. This is facing the water and this is facing west. I've seen that one. And let me just see if I have, I think those are most of them. Is there another image you wanted me to show, Eric?
No, I think that was good to show them what the intent is.
Do we have anything on a landscaping plan? I saw that was on the discussion list from October 8th.
So in the renderings, you can see we put some shrubs along the building. We don't have a whole lot of space there. We only have 3.5 feet between the face of the building and the property line. So we were going to try and get some greenery there. And then we wanted to have some grass around the building, so you can see there on the corner of the building there in that. And then along the west side of the building, we were going to run along the whole parking line and have some bushes there. I spoke with Lisa about this before. We're open to, we're thinking bushes and maybe a few plants that are local vegetation. So we're trying to figure out, what's preferred there. I know Lisa said that they're working on some literature for what's preferred as a guideline, and we're going to try and follow those if they're available. Otherwise, we'll just go with some local vegetation that'll work there.
And before you leave this view, I see the handicap parking, but how are they getting in the building? I forgot how we.
Sorry, you go ahead, Eric.
So we lowered the curb. So there's a separate entrance for the handicap, basically what she's circling right now. So the handicap come in because we had to raise the building up 4 feet. So the handicap people will go in on that next to that parking space, They go into the building and then there's a handicap lift that
Okay,
will get them up to 4 feet to the floor, and then they'll be on the first floor, then they can go to the elevator. So, but they have their own handicap accessible ramp on that side next to the handicap
Okay.
parking.
yeah, that's what I thought. I just didn't realize the lift was inside.
Mhm.
That's smart.
I don't see anything on the, at least on the list from the meeting, that hasn't been talked about tonight. So anybody have any other questions or any other thoughts on the board?
Ray,
Mhm.
you said we were going to send this to the ARC for comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I emailed these most recent renderings to the ARC. But I think they're still going to look for some sample materials if you can get those, Eric.
They had such great comments on Uptown. It'd be nice to hear what they have to say about this.
Okay.
Good.
I look forward to it.
Anybody else have any comments or questions? Okay. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you. So, all right, so we're looking to be on the hearing in December?
Yeah, I think the only thing missing was a posting. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's wrong. That's the other application that we postponed from tonight. How's the board feel about that? I think we're okay. There's some more details. If you can get a landscaping plan, that would help, I think, in time for the meeting.
Yeah, I think we want the ARC comments and then the landscaping plan. And if you feel that the information provided today was sufficient for your inquiries about parking in the long-term plan of the ferry, and we're good on that, that's, if you need something else, you have to let me know.
Eric, I would say if you can get the landscaping plan in a couple of weeks, so that gives the board 2 weeks before the hearing to look at them and comment.
Okay.
And if the ARC can get back with comments prior to the hearing, that would be good too. But I don't see anybody see any issues with scheduling the hearing? I don't.
Well, it's not a public hearing that we're scheduling, just to be clear. We're just scheduling, we're just putting it on the agenda, looking towards a resolution, actually.
Okay. All right, then there shouldn't be any issue at all.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Eric. Take
You
care.
too. Bye.
Okay, unless anybody has anything else that is
We officially have to, I believe we officially have to open the public hearing and then announce
adjourn.
that it is being postponed at the request of the applicant because of the failure to post and mail.
Okay. If that's the case, Cindy, if you would read in, as we always do, the application information so everybody is familiar with it, and also everybody watching online is also familiar with what's going to be coming up next month.
Yeah. 216B, Main Street, change of use conditional use permit, application number 0609-20. Location, former Say Cheese. Tax map number, section 12, block 7, lot 35. Zoning, C1 commercial. Applicant is Richard Orlandi, care of Natural Hounds LLC. Property owner 210-302 Perillo LLC. Contact Heather Bryn, architect. Description, proposed cooking, preparation of dog food, artisanal manufacturing. Action is public hearing. Applicant requests a change of use from existing restaurant use to artisanal manufacturing as per Village Code, section 250-9 definitions to prepare human grade custom dog food for retail sale. Artisanal manufacturing is a conditional use in the C1 Central Commercial District as per section 250-18B7.
Thank you, Cindy. Now that the hearing is open, I'll just make the statement that we've received a notice to postpone the hearing until the next planning board meeting, so that will occur on December 3rd, time to be determined.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think you do need to in fact set a time.
Oh, okay, we need to set the time now. We don't know if we're gonna have a work session that night. We may very well. So why don't we make it 6:30 PM? If that's okay with everybody, and then we'll adjust the work session accordingly. If there's not a lot on it, we'll make it maybe the work session at 5:30, depending on, or 5:30 or even 6 o'clock, depending on the items on the work session agenda, if there is one. So I need a motion to approve adjourn the adjournment of the public hearing to December 3rd.
One motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that concludes the actual agenda for tonight. So unless anybody has anything else, we'll actually conclude the meeting.